Good morning. Welcome back to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Joe Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at MarketSite, we have Arthur Zackiewicz. He's the executive editor of Women's Wear Daily, and we're going to talk about some Black Friday retail trends as well as sales expectations for holiday 2018. I cannot believe it's a year since I saw you last. All right. You know what? It feels like the consumer is a little bit healthier this year. What are some expectations for Black Friday?
I think for Black Friday, we're probably on track as far as like traffic is concerned year over year as last year. I think consumers have been shopping already. You know, they really started earlier and they're going to wait until the last minute again. So it's kind of stretched out. You know, Black Friday is still, it's a symbolic.
I mean, you have 32 days from Black Friday to Christmas, and you have that full weekend in, and Christmas Eve is on a Monday. For one, will be shopping that weekend. It feels like, just coming into the city today from New Jersey and looking out in Times Square now, it feels a little bit empty.
It's light, and we just got a report from JLL, which is the real estate firm. I guess stores that open at 6 a.m. It's kind of on par for last year, which was, it's light, a little bit light, but people are shopping, and I think they shopped earlier this year, right? You know, if you wind back to Halloween, the day after Halloween, we had Christmas already on the aisle. So, and consumers are buying online too, so they're getting a lot of deals earlier. So the season's kind of like stretching out.
It's continuing to stretch out.
But they'll be driven by bargains for sure.
Yeah, and going back to the strength of the consumer, $1 trillion is the expected amount to be spent this year.
Isn't that's amazing? So it's $1 trillion, but that's measured from November 1st to the end of December.
Even still, that's
it's going to be a record year, and it's driven by also, you know, online again is expected to grow, you know, about 16% this year again. So if you look at the total season, if we're up about 5%, which is what most analysts are saying, but if you take out the online sales, it's going to be about 2% growth, which is still good for stores. So I think things are shaking out in the right way.
Right. Well, you know, do you sense a resurgence of brick and mortar? I read something interesting in American Express survey that 88% of 18 to 29-year-olds plan to shop in store.
Right. So how imagine, you know, it gets old when you're shopping online, right? So you want that experience, and shopping is an experience. So they're going to stores smartly. You know, retailers have started to reinvest in their physical, you know, locations after spending a lot of money and, you know, wasting money, honestly, on investments for e-commerce. Now they kind of figured out the right formula, but they realize that the store is where you know, the consumer goes to have that experience, to find the brands, to touch and feel a product.
It's really interesting because our headquarters is downtown, and we go through the trade center shops, which are relatively new, right? And it feels like each store is its own unique experience and location. Even when you see renovations in older legacy malls, it feels like each one is its own experience.
And that's the brands have a lot to do with that. The consumers want discovery, right? So they want to be surprised, and you know, when you that's why the mall is becoming more interesting. True, there are B and C malls that are closing, right? But the A malls, you know, where companies are putting a lot of investments, they're really remarkable. And I'm talking about like traditional retail, you know, formulas of having departments, having trunk shows, you know, having, you know, new product launches in the store, having events in the store. So it's a lot different, and you know, than even 5 or 10 years ago, where they kind of neglected their roots.
I wonder if like social media and Instagram and story sharing has to be driving that.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because I was thinking about it. There's no one single like product this year or brand. There's no like must-have.
That's what I was going to ask you. Or what are the trends? I feel like I don't even, the kids, they don't want.
It's because of that. Everything is Instagrammable. It's very democratized. So, you know, influencers and friends and family, and you know, just your circle of friends. That's, you know, whatever they're buying is what you're going to buy. So it's not necessarily, you know, one type of product. It's going to be categories. So like handbags are going to be big this year, right? Watches. And within that, you know, so if we look at handbags, for example, that's like a #1 gifting item already trending according to Loop Commerce, which tracks the stuff. So we're talking about, you know, not only Coach and Michael Kors, but higher end Gucci and Chanel. So
Yeah.
you know, the big bucks are going to be spent on you know, big brands too.
You know, it's so interesting. I can remember, I think, what was it, 10, 12 years back at this point? Like, everyone knew Tickle Me Elmo was the big kids' gift.
Right.
I feel like I haven't heard about anything like that.
Now, electronics are big as a category, but it's not like it's one type.
Right. It's really
So-
interesting. It's categorized more than product specific.
Correct, right. So like apparel and electronics are seen, but if you drill down, I think Adobe's tracking data right now that's showing phones and mobile devices as kind of driving traffic today already.
Right.
But which phone? That really doesn't
Right.
matter. It's T-Mobile, it's Verizon and AT&T pushing new plans, getting people to upgrade, you know, and get a new device. You know, here's an extra $500 off of your plan. That's what's driving the category. So it's not necessarily a brand, but it's more a category.
So interesting.
And outerwear too. Let's go back to apparel.
Well, I mean, 17 degrees right now. It's a little
Yeah.
bit cold for November. In New York.
So people, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you know, companies like North Face and Canada Goose, Montclair do really well. If it's got fur on it, whether it's fake or real, it's going to do well. But they may sell out. You may, you know, if you don't get it this weekend, you may be in trouble.
I remember a couple years ago when it was 60 degrees over Christmas and they couldn't get rid of any of
right.
their inventory. I mean, it was great if you like to shop at TJ Maxx and Ross stores, you know, in February and March and get those great deals, but they couldn't turn anything over.
And then what happened? There was a cold blast after that, like in January.
And they were trying to sell summer.
And there was summer stuff, and you couldn't find a jacket, you couldn't find
Yeah.
a coat. So it's hard. The weather is a difficult thing to predict.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you so much for joining me, as always. And thank you for joining me. I'm Joe Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.